Welcome back, everyone, to Pillars of Eternity. Your hero, Rand Lefebvre, otherwise known as DraxxKraven.
All
When
right, then.
we have a druid friend now. Oh, that's curious. The bright sun casts its light on a pattern on the ground. You kneel to get a better look. The stone here has been carved with a few simple shapes. A small circular indentation marks the center, and a much larger circle around it. You see what appears to be writing above the two circles. Huh. Okay. It looks like I need to find a doohickey to put in there. I do not yet have the appropriate doohickey, I'm guessing. DraxxKraven. Did I have to say it that way? No. Did I? Yes. Pagra.
Can't get a good shot like this.
Awakened wood.
All right, then.
Okay, it appears some nymphs or dryads woke up and were like, hey, we're gonna fuck with this pool. And I was like, no, please. The classic high road, low road problem. Just lions. No problem. Lion versus Itumak. Itumak wins. God, the thing about Heravius that always drives me crazy is that he drew an eyeball on the eye patch he wears. Why would you do that? Why would you do that, my dude? To the Deerford village. I do believe this is where we need to go next. If I recall correctly, there's an operation going on here. Through Death's Gate. Find someone in town who knows about the ruins. Ah, the ruins we passed. Makes sense. The Temple of Berath. Good idea. See what's going on in the local temple. Hopefully nothing naughty. Dr. Bjodmar, no one trusts me with anything more than lighting candles.
Out with you! I already told you what... I'm sorry. I thought you were one of those ruffians.
Oh, what happened? Someone's put this priest to the test, but one not nearly difficult enough by my measure. An amateur's work.
How may I help you?
What happened?
I never saw their faces. Strange, hooded men asking about those ruins. Cleoban Relag. Most of the brigands who come through here asking about the ruins are looking for a few ancient trinkets. But these people knew the name, and they were in a hurry. They wanted to know where Cleoban Relag was. I tried to keep it from them, but I couldn't hold out forever. I don't know what they were up to, but it can't be good.
Well, can you tell me where they are?
The Glanfathan tribe that guards the ruins will kill anyone who trespasses there. And they'll retaliate against us, too, if history is any indication. We've had too many fortune seekers stir up trouble of late. If I'm to tell you, I'll need to know your reason for wanting to go.
So this is where I say, go into the ruins and I'll kill you. And that's when you say, Haravius, I'm a watcher and you're no match for all of us. And we've got a good reason for this. And then I give up trying to argue with you and leave you to dig your own trespasser's grave. And I'm only being half metaphoric. We sometimes make dear Woodens dig your own grave before we kill you. When the kids hear about it, it's a fabulous deterrent. A dangerous plot's unfolding. I've got to stop
If
that.
that's the case, then we may already have trouble headed our way. I'll have to take you at your word. You'll find Cleoban Relog here. Whatever trouble you find there, please end it quietly and try to stay out of the ruins.
Barath? Most universal of all the gods, it oversees portals and cycles. Pallid Knight or the Usher. The Glenfathans, however, know it as Bunen, I Anku, and Anku I Bunen. Life in death, death in life. Groovy. Alright, we got a bunch of people keeping to themselves. I love Haravius. Okay, I'm supposed to kill you, but I'm not gonna do that, because I would probably lose. And I also don't care. Grieving mother. Oh, snap. Oh, yo, what's up?
Good day to you.
I don't suppose you saw a young elven noblewoman on the road. I'm stuck in this wretched place with the rest of my unit until we find her. I haven't seen anyone like that. Same as everyone else in this blazing village. Perhaps you could go speak with Lord Harond at the inn. He'll be grateful for the assistance. It could be the locals opened up to you about his daughter's disappearance more than they have to us. Okay, sure. Damn the rest of the gods, too. Rumbald. Monster stole my pigs! I guess they don't have those ogres where you come from, do they? Alrighty then. Tracking down an ogre who stole a pig. That's no bueno, ogres. I've dealt with ogres before. Oh boy. The woman looks briefly through you as if she doesn't know you're there. Behold, grieving mother. This middle-aged peasant woman is dressed in a brown leather cloth draped down to her knees. Her hands are working at separate stringy, colorless vegetables in a pile before her, stripping the heads off the long, fibrous stems with a paring knife. She discards the stems one by one, placing the heads of the vegetables into a small cradle-like basket in front of her. She does not greet you as you approach. You're not sure she even knows you're there. Excuse me? The woman doesn't reply. She keeps stripping the heads from the vegetables with a steady rhythm. She may be deaf. There is no indication at all that she heard you. At first glance, she seems nothing more than a middle-aged woman, unremarkable, maybe less stern than most, who seems more focused on the weaving in her lap than her surroundings. Yet you suddenly notice she's not stripping the vegetables before her any longer. She's weaving, and the vegetable pots are now missing. She still pays you no mind, her brown locks torn and snagged from lack of washing, like many of the townsfolk you've seen. There's a strange blur to her. Even the motions of her hands seem to be playing with threads that lack color in a shape that lacks interest. It may be that she is half-minded or deaf, but something feels wrong. As you watch, her knitting takes on an odd cadence, and you have a terrible suspicion that something lurks beneath what your eyes are showing you. Focus. Her brown hair is long, almost impossibly to the length of her hands. As you follow the streams of her locks downward, the hairs become long and black, splitting off into threads of black and silver wrapping around her hands. She's forming a soul cradle with the threads, braiding a net in front of you, each finger long and sharp like a series of knitting needles, almost hypnotic. The silver and black strands of her hair weave together, with silver predominating as a highlight, the black shadowing it. And suddenly, you are calm. You're on a plateau, almost the height of a tower, several stories high. The plateau is like a table lying beneath the clear sky, and beneath the plateau, surrounding it in all directions, a forest. hazy with mist, although whether it is actual mist or distance or recollection. Resting in the curve of the natural arch above you is a great copper bell, half again the size of a man, hanging at attention, as if looking down on you and the event unfolding before you. The plateau has soaked in the sun, and the rock beneath you is rough and warm. The sky forms a cradle around you. You feel different, not disembodied, but you feel your body. Your physical contours have changed along with the surroundings. And you hear a soft series of chimes, like wind chimes. At the sound, the scene gains color and texture, as if the sound is beckoning you gently forth, filling your senses and thoughts like mist roiling softly into a sealed chamber, and the chime coaxes you deeper into the memory, and you're certain it's a memory, a warm one. You're on the stone of the plateau, your knees on the warm texture of the ground, silver, white, shimmering like Adra. The plateau is formed of it, glistening in the sun. You can feel the heat on your skin, your wrists, your hands. Your hands are in motion, weaving, not thread, but gathering, tenderly moving along the first movements of Barath's wheel. Your hands are wet. Your hands are upon the flesh of a newborn child. You can feel the crowning of a tiny head turning in your grip, its head slick, wet from the womb. The hands you are wearing, inhabiting, have done this so many times. They're practiced and confident. They can feel distant pains in your own head as the head emerges, a stream of fluid from the womb helping the newborn slide forth, and a woman's labored breathing crying out. Focus on the child. As your hands move, you hear the sound of chimes, clear, cutting through the haze of memory. You cannot see where they are coming from, but they are close, and they are meant as a comfort. Of that you are certain. Coaxed by your hands, every movement causing the chimes to sound again, almost eagerly the child comes forth, and as it does, your hands are in motion, weaving, moving along the length of a soft wet rope. No, an umbilical cord from the legs of the naked woman. You're holding a small child, still wet from the womb before you. The child cries out. Its cry is full of life, full of soul. The ringing of chimes echoing in its thoughts, filling it with its welcome. The soul is blurred at the edges, as if you're viewing a soul from within a soul, but it is there. It is alive. The woman before you is weeping, and at her first cry, her hands reach out for it. Surrender the child. You surrender the child to her, something you've done many times before, and as your hands move, the chimes echo the movement, and you realize the chimes are hanging from cords on your wrists, and where once they echoed in the memory, they are now echoing in the child's mind as well. The chimes are intended to welcome the child, to be its first gentle greeting into the world, a soothing sound guided by the tender motions of your wrists. You're helping to weave its thoughts, its perceptions, and the experience. The woman laughs with a ragged joy, laughing from a parched throat. Her emotion seems soothed, but the physical demands of labor have left her exhausted. But the child is here. The child is safe, and all atop the plateau is peaceful, calm, distant, flattening out as the memory persists. With effort, the scene bleeds of color, and your mind becomes your own once more. There's no pull, no anchor, but the sound of the chimes remains. As they existed in the memory, they sound here as well, and they are hanging from the woven braids on the wrists of the woman before you. Even as your head is spinning from the touch of her mind, the sound of the chimes on her wrists is sharp and clear, as if coaxing you back to the real world. The woman still sits before you, but she's nothing like what you first saw. She's wearing black, shredded garments that drape over her form like streamers. Her hair is streaks of black and run through with silver. Her age is almost impossible to tell. She simply feels old, like a crumbled watchtower. As she lifts her head to face you, you see that her hair is draped across the front of her face like a veil. What you first saw of her was a mental glamour of some sort, unconscious, and you realize what you see is not what the world sees, and you're perhaps the first person to see her true self. Still, you don't sense a threat in the realization. If anything, you feel a sense of relief from the figure. You can hear her thoughts, and she is glad at last to be seen. Who are you?
I am seen, but the eyes of others do not remember. You were the first to see me as I am, the call stripped aside.
There is a light touch on your mind, a caress, and her left hand mirrors the motion of the touch, reaching up to the air between you. You hear the chime on her wrist sound softly. Her hands move as if pantomiming, resting on your cheeks at a distance.
Your memories. A cadence of wheels on a caravan track. fever, questions by running water, violence in a night's campfire, arrows in the dark, and fleeing, falling rock and cracking stone, and a storm. The storm. The storm that brushed you. Did its screaming wake you from your mind's cradle? Your memory of it is painful. Its cry is difficult to ignore. It's like a child. Many children crying out.
I encountered a Biowak, yes. It did something to me.
You are able to see me.
It's almost a question. You suddenly realize she doesn't seem to know what you saw when you looked at her.
To see me is a rare gift. A watcher's gift.
I've never been able to do that with a living person, except you.
So many questions, thoughts, whirling like storm winds. That storm still roars through you, deep beneath your thoughts, yet muted and secret, like an underground river. I cannot tell if it is carving new channels, or eroding what keeps your true strength buried. The fact that you could hear it at all, survive it, is something few have ever done. Your power will grow stronger with each soul you touch, as it allowed you to reach out to mine.
There is silence, and although it seems to last for but a heartbeat, in your thoughts it stretches out between the two of you like a pull between your minds. You blink, taking a breath, and then you realize she wants to ask you a question, yet can't form the words, as if assembling them is painful, or there simply are not enough pieces. Do you wish to travel with me? You feel a wave of fear, gusted with a strength of relief. Oddly, her expression does not change. Then the fear dissipates, and you feel strength and certainty, as if the plateau from her memory lies behind you, and a calm sky looks down upon you.
Safe travels.
The Grieving Mother. So the Grieving Mother is a cipher. If I recall correctly, right, she accrues focus by inflicting damage on others, and then she's able to unleash that focus in cipher spells. Her weapons of choice are daggers. I can't remember if she's any good at two-handing daggers. I should have some in here, right? A fine stiletto. Nope. All I got are swords. Swords and sabers and maces. Welp. If I find any daggers, they're hers. Do I have any other nice robes? No, I do not. Welp. I gotta pawn some of this stuff. Dear God, she's got a lot of health.
Hey.
Potions
Hello.
and what? A dragon's nest. Ooh.
Good day, stranger.
Potion of major endurance. Plus 100 endurance. Ripple sponge. Ooh. Are we talking about drugs? Oh, it appears we are talking about drugs. Yes. And drugs and gems. Alrighty then. But, yes. Grieving Mother may have, her stats may not be great, but she more than makes up for that with the ability to fucking read people's minds. There are a lot of situations where Grieving Mother can just sort of like...
want to find her. Surely even you can understand that.
We're decent folk, my lord. Perhaps you should leave and check the wilds.
There are a lot of situations where Grieving Mother will be able to cut to the quick of a problem. Ciphers are difficult to use in combat, but yeah, she'll just be like, oh, hey, I know all this shit. And she'll just tell you, and you'll be like, thanks, Grieving Mother. Badoo!